Welcome to Star Wars Galaxy Crafting for single line of experimentation items as well as a dual line experimentation item. This is a very basic overview of the crafting process. So for those of you who are beginning your trader experience in the game, hopefully this will be informative. For everybody else who already knows how to do this, there won't be any new information. The first thing we're going to look at is how to make a crafting tool. We're going to go over some of the things such as the ingredients and the stat that it's looking for and what each point of experimentation counts for in the process. So this uses metal, mineral, which metal will fall into the mineral category if you want it to, and chemical. So you double click here, then you get the representation of the three different ingredient spots, the ingredients in your inventory that fit in any of these spots, and then the stat that it's looking for, which is conductivity in this case. So the first things, any chemical, all chemical, does not have conductivity. So you don't have to use good stuff. You can use any random garbage chemical you can get your hands on. Mineral includes metals, which does have conductivity, but it also includes ore, which does not, and gemstone, which does not. So again, you can use gemstone or ore in this spot and it won't count against you because there's no stat. It only grades you on the stats that the resource has. If the resource doesn't have the stat, it just ignores it in the math calculations. So we're just going to dump this in because I've got more of it and it's currently in spawn. And it's not the gemstone which is used for weaponsmith, but it's in the inventory just for illustrative purposes. The last spot is metal, and all metal has conductivity. Steel has a conductivity, this particular one, of 649 out of a possible 650. So this is really good steel for conductivity. But the reason that this is so low is because it's asking for metal. And metal also includes copper and aluminum. And copper and aluminum, copper specifically, can go up to 1,000. So steel will never be above 650. Copper can go up to 1,000. So this slot is looking for a range of 1 to 1,000, not 1 to 650. Which is why this yellow bar is not green and is 65% roughly of the way to the top. So the aluminum is 993, which will fill the top. And I say it'll fill it because when you get expertise on your trader, you can choose a 4% bonus. Now it says 4% bonus, but in actuality it's an extra 40 points to this value. But the 40 points will push it over 1,000. So this is essentially a perfect resource for this item in that slot. Now I can, if I want, put this in both slots. Why would I do that? Well, it's one less resource to manage when you make a factory run of them, because you can make up to 1,000 of these. The resource amounts are small enough where when you get used to it, you're not going to notice the 8,000 extra resources spent on it. But for, again, illustrative purposes, we're going to use the ore that doesn't require it. I click, yep, assemble, yes. All right, so this is using the good stuff, and it starts at 29%, which is what we want. We're going to click experiment. We have 10 points to fill up this entire line, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines of experimentation. Now, we're not going to fill it up with only 8. We're going to need all 10. And each point is 7% for a great result, or 8% for an amazing result. So 7 is more than likely what we're going to get. And we're going to run the experiment. Oh, amazing, which is nice. You don't always get that. Great. Great. Another great. And you can see it went from 51 to 58, so it's 7% for a great. Another great. Now, you don't have to do it one point at a time. You can fill the line up and just do it, but you run the chance of it being a critical failure and it just going all the way back down, and you basically have to cancel out of it and redo it, which isn't a big deal when it's a simple item like this, but it also means that you get fewer chances to fill the line. I'll show you what I mean. So that was a great, and I've got 2 boxes with 2 points. I'm going to fill it again. The only reason it filled it graphically is because I got an amazing. What will normally happen is you'll get a great, and this box will be left open. Now, for a crafting tool, it's not a big deal. It'll still say 15, even though it says 99%. There are hidden decimals. It rounds up. But visually, it will be empty, but this line will be full. But this is the important part at 15. That is the cap for the crafting tool, and that's what we're going to make. So the difference between that and using the steel, the lesser resource for conductivity, is that it starts at 17 instead of 29. You get fewer experimentation points because you're only going to get to 65% of potential cap. Amazing, great. Let's do that again. So 68% with the resource bonus. But the effectiveness is 5.67 instead of 15, because this ranges from negative 15 to positive 15. So that's why it's not 10, which would be 2/3 and close to the 68%. So that is crafting a single line item. And what I'm going to show you now is a dual line item of shipwright. So when you craft spaceship parts, one of the things you can make is an engine, which are right here, and you need all these items, and we're not going to make an engine because this is basic crafting and this is not basic crafting. There's lots of different things here. But one of the subcomponents that you can do is the engine overdriver, which is an extra boost to your engine speed, will work for this illustrative point. And I'm also going to get some investment port because I don't want to blow through so many resources if it fails. All right. So this requires steel and fermionic siliclastic ore. Now this is a type of ore that was introduced with JTL Jump to Light Speed. It was one of the early expansions of the original game way back when. So this resource does not follow the normal rules as far as which stats can get to which points. So for example, if hypothetically this had conductivity and ore does not, but just hypothetically if it did, this could get to 1,000 because it doesn't follow the resource cap rules that the other resources follow. So we've got steel, and this is OQ and CD. And then ore, which is just OQ. Now, you're going to notice that the 918 is not at the 960 mark, which is where I like stuff to be to max it out. There's a couple of things for this. One is look at the amounts of steel. There's 2,000 units of steel versus 500 units of ore. That means that the stats for the steel are going to be 80% of the final math calculation. It's before any of the resources come in, or math equations for weighted averages comes into play. Just with the volume of steel, this is 80%, this is 20%. So we're going to put this in here, then we're going to look at this and put that in there, and they're both where they need to be, because this is far enough above cap where it averages this to where it'll be good. So for example, like I said, 960 is the important number. So this is 42 points short of 960. This is 22 points, but there's 4 times as much of it as this, so it's really 88 points. So the 88 points more is higher than the number of points, the 42, that this is short. Which is why the two of these together will still cap it. Now that's just for OQ. The ore doesn't have CD, so the CD on the steel is the only thing in the calculation there. Going to click next and experiment. Now you're going to see that there are 2 lines, and I'm wearing a engine crafting experimentation suit. So I have 18 points instead of 16, which is the normal for shipwright for engines. I also consumed Bespin Port, which gives you an increased chance for an amazing experimentation roll. Now this is important because I'm going to need an amazing experimentation roll on each line in order to max out each line at 100%. So the more important stat is speed, so I'm going to do that one first. Amazing success. Perfect. The Bespin Port is consumed, so I have to drink it again. And then I'm going to do the other line. And again, I'm going to fill it up because I don't like doing the one box at a time. It's personal preference. And I've already consumed it. It's there. Click it again. Amazing success. Perfect. So I'm going to click it again. This is really more cover my butt than anything else. I don't need an amazing here, but the better chance for amazing is not as much of a chance as a bad roll. So, but I've done both at once. It was amazing anyway. Both lines are at 100%. This is a perfect item. It cannot get better. It is truly capped. And I actually need this for one of my characters, which is why I'm crafting that. And that is the quote-unquote basic overview of crafting 1- and 2-line experimentation items and a very brief explanation of resources and the stats that are important, weighted averages, and the ratio of ingredients. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you have any questions.